the Revisionary Podcast with your host, Juan Carlos. The Revisionary Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Revisionary Podcast. And I'm your host, Juan Carlos. So this week, we're actually going to pivot a little bit. Before we pivot, if this is your first time listening, the way this works is we bring on guests, usually comedians, who tell a nonfiction story about their lives in which they wish things had gone a little bit differently. Afterwards, I give you an opportunity to I give the guest an opportunity to tell the same exact story, except this time they can change any facts or details that they would like about the story. So, for those of you guys who are listening, before I dive into how we're changing things a little bit this week, it's not a lot. It's not going to be a huge change. Don't worry, we're not deviating too much. I just want to tell you guys about my weekend because it has been a wild one. Well, and by wild, I really just mean that I've been doing my best to give back to the community. I found out a few weeks ago that apparently there was a national shortage of baseball umpires in the country. And I'm sure you guys have heard me say in the past how much I love baseball. Or if you haven't, that is something you should definitely know. I love baseball. It is my favorite sport. And while I was doing the research, I was like, well, let me give back to my community. And let me tell you, I've enjoyed it for the most part. Outside of getting yelled at, which I get yelled at a lot by parents. Just a note to any parents who are out there. If you're going to a child's game and an official is officiating, I need you to understand that they're not doing it for the money. Well, some people might be, but really it doesn't pay that much. It's a love of labor, or labor of love, rather. I believe that is the phrase. Please stop yelling at officials. It's a lot harder than it looks. People are like, oh, you suck. I'm like, well, guess what? When things are happening in the heat of the moment, you have to make the best decision that you can. Trust me, I'm trying to be as fair as possible. But either way, that's how I spent my weekend. I was umpiring tournaments, and I'm all sore because I took fastballs to the neck, to each of my hands. I got hit on one fastball so hard that I had an indicator in my hand, and my hand just spasmed to open, and the indicator just dropped. I took one off the cup, man. It was just a hard weekend. So shout out to everyone who, donates their time and gives back to their community. This is my small way of doing better in the community. Also, I want to wish a happy Father's Day to any of the dads who listen to this podcast on a regular basis. This past Sunday was Father's Day, and I want to thank you for everything that you do. And I hope you all had an opportunity to spend time with your kids. So that's been beautiful. This week, we're actually going to dive a little bit into the world of streaming. My guest this week, you might have followed her or seen her on Twitch. Her name is UnderDogNobody, or Dogo, as everyone affectionately calls her. She is a very talented illustrator. She does video designer, but again, most people know her for her Twitch streams. Please make sure that you check her out. I'm really excited to talk to her because Twitch is something that I feel like has been growing, and I'm excited to learn a lot more about it and understand how it works because it's just always something that has intrigued me. So let's just see what happens. Before we go any further, let me see if I can get Dogo on the line. Hey, how are you doing, Dogo?
Good, how are you?
I am so excited to have you here on the Revisionary Podcast. Thank you for coming.
I'm excited too, dude. Let's go.
So, before we jump into this, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and some of the things that you do?
Oof. So the big thing I do right now is I'm a Twitch streamer. It sounds really weird. I wish there was a more articulate title.
Right.
Like when I was a kid, my mom used to write domestic engineer instead of mother on my forms for her job.
Really?
Yeah. Like I wish there was something better than streamer. I could, because I mean, streamer could mean, that you live in your mother's basement and have 3 viewers. But I mean, maybe that is what it means. Mind your business. But I'm also a fine artist and a video editor as well.
You are? Okay, so why don't you walk us through how you got, how did we get here? How'd you get down this path?
Well, I started as doing video editing and design and animation professionally, and I lived in Manhattan, in New York. I worked off of Fifth Avenue for this company called Consulate NYC, and I was my dream job. I was doing what I went to school for, which is like the dream, right? Is especially when the arts is to get a job in your field is like, But then I started getting really, really sick. Mm-hmm. And nobody knew why I was really, really sick, and I couldn't really work anymore. So I was born in Western PA, so I moved back to Western PA and started getting health treatments that I couldn't afford, working as a 1099, you know, in Manhattan, because you have to pay for your own insurance, right? And then if you get sick and you can't work, you can't pay for your own insurance.
Is that how that works?
That's how that works.
Our system is set up for success. I see that.
Especially for artists. A lot of really big artists, some of even the most successful artists that you know still get forced onto 1099s because people don't like paying benefits for artists.
Of course not. Because, you guys are just inhaling fumes and you don't need healthcare at all, right? Who cares?
Exactly, right.
So let me ask you this, and just let's back up here, just so
sure.
For the revisionaries who are out there and don't know what Twitch is or what streaming is or what it is that you're referring to, why don't you walk us through it and like bring us into your world and explain to us how it works and what it is?
Twitch is a live platform. So you go live, your shows are live, and after you're done being live, sometimes people also have VODs, but people don't go there to watch VODs or videos the way that you do YouTube. Like YouTube's live is very new, and that's to compete with Twitch. So they're like the two biggest competitors in live performance right now is YouTube and Twitch. So you go on, there's a chat on the side. So the big difference there in terms of using it as a platform is you get to interact with influencers. You get to talk to them, ask them questions, experience things with them at the same time. It's very video game heavy, but there has been a lot of push and pull as to whether Twitch is going to stay very video game heavy. It's a big controversy right now. I don't know if you've heard of the hot tub streamers. There's a big controversy going on. So Twitch TOS has been trying to get rid of something that people call titty streamers. That's if you've heard of titty streamers.
No, but no. I can imagine what it is.
It's there are people that go on a category that formerly was known as IRL, that's now called just chatting, where they just talk to their chat. They just interact. Like, that's their whole thing. And that's really cool. There are some really wonderful just chatters that do some really wonderful creative things. The big numbers are the women who just sit and have their boobies hanging out.
So now, you mean they're like wearing bras, or do you mean they're just completely uncovered?
Right. So they're not allowed to show their nipples.
Right.
They were doing it pretty low. And so to combat this, because it's not supposed to be a adult content platform, right? To combat that, Twitch was like, okay, you cannot do that anymore. You cannot dress like that unless you are actually going swimming or like doing something where it's a reflection of the environment you're in. So then all the titty streamers were like, fine, we're going to get in hot tubs. So now they're hot tub streamers. So there's this big debate where on one side of the coin, people are saying, well, they're women, they're women's bodies, they get to do what they want with their bodies. And if people want to watch, they get to watch. And then on the other side of the coin, the other side of the argument is people are saying they don't want this platform to be known for that. And I myself, as a female streamer, I don't mind if they do that. It is their bodies, more power to them. My issue is a lot of men that use the platform will then expect sexual things of me because so many women are doing sexual things on the platform.
Right.
And it's supposed to be, or always was, about video gaming,
right,
or, podcasting, things like that. It wasn't a platform that automatically sexualized me. Now, if they want to sexualize their content, I have no problem with that. I just I just wish that they would do it on a different platform, personally.
You just wish it didn't affect you, is really what it comes down to.
I wish it didn't affect me negatively.
Right.
I have no problem with what they're doing personally. I just wish it didn't affect me negatively, because it does. Because then you have men that come in, and if I decide to go on just chatting and decide to just talk about Pokemon cards or something, I have men coming in being like, why can't we see you in a bikini? Things like that. And it's like, well, because I'm talking about Pokemon cards, honey.
Right. Which I get. It's a double standard, because no one wants to see me in a bikini, so no one's asking. Right? I get that.
Hey, man, you don't know that. Get in the hot tub. I said I was gonna do redneck hot tub hour, and I was gonna fill a bucket and just like.
Wait, hold on, back up. What is redneck hot tub hour?
That's gonna be my segment where I just fill up a bucket and like sitting in my underwear to get more people to watch me play Pokemon.
Okay. See, it is not what I was imagining. When you said redneck hot tub, what I was imagining was you taking a pickup truck, lining it. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, you're like big budget redneck. That's like big budget redneck stuff. I'm like, I need like a bucket from Home Depot and like some water from the sink.
What are you gonna fit? Your foot?
I don't know, maybe just my butt. Like, I don't know. A rubber ducky in my butt. I'll put my hair in pigtails and
put
in some buck teeth and call it a day.
What you could do is get one of those kiddie pools and just fill it with ice and just hang out there, have beers next to you.
Oh my gosh, filled with beer.
So you can just, pull them out, dual purpose.
Am I dressed for the environment if I'm in a bikini and I'm laying in ice?
Oh, I didn't say bikini. We had already established that wasn't the vibe you were going for, so I figured you'd wear a parka or something.
Oh, for redneck hot tub hour? Yeah. I don't know what do rednecks wear when they sit in buckets?
I don't know. I've never been a redneck before, so there's that.
I've never sat in a bucket before, so I guess we've come full circle.
Yeah, we've come full circle. Wow, this has been a highlight of my day. This conversation. So let me ask you this. Now, you mentioned how you had a background in design and stuff like that, and you were living in New York. But what was the last thing that kind of pushed you over? You didn't. I don't imagine you just woke up one day and you go, you know what? I'm going to start talking about Pokemon. So how did that?
Right. So I was too sick to keep up with like a schedule that was set for me.
Right.
And my friends were like, you're so cool to like just talk to. You have so many interesting stories. You play video games. You should try Twitch.
Got it.
And I was like, I know Twitch, but I used to watch Twitch live streams that were put on YouTube. I've been huge into YouTube my whole life. I watched all the big gamers, the Game Grumps, Markiplier, PewDiePie, all of them. I've been watching them for a million years.
Right.
And a lot of them did do Twitch streams, but I would never watch them live because, again, I like working on my own schedule. But the thing with Twitch is I could make my own schedule. So I did. I made my own schedule and I started streaming, and it was a very rocky start, as it is for most people. Yeah. Especially as a female on the platform because of the issues I told you previous. And I got really interested in the retro community. There's a very wonderful retro community. Some of the best people you'll ever meet are in that community. So I started streaming primarily NES, SNES, N64, PlayStation 1 retro games. Just really, really cool. Really love that community a lot. So,
can I tell you a quick story?
Tell me it.
So back in 2014, I was living in Florida, and an article had come out in the local paper about a house that was literally like down the block from me or around the corner from my school. Apparently, the neighbors called the cops on them, and they got raided in a drug search, right? The reason for... You're like, why are you telling me the story? I will explain. There is the reason.
Okay.
The reason why is because this house was like this really nice... It wasn't a mansion or anything like that, but it was like a nice house in a very nice neighborhood. And the guys who lived there were like these 3 or 4 guys in their 20s, and none of them ever left the house. Like, they didn't really have a job. So the neighbors were concerned that they were selling meth or something else out of the house, and that was how they were able to afford the house. But in reality, what it was is it was still in the earlier days. I don't know when Twitch got big, but it was in the earlier days of Twitch before people knew what it was. And these guys were just Twitch streamers who were like...
It was a gamer house!
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
They were spending like the entire day just switching off on who was playing. And that day, and that's how they were able to like support their lifestyle, and then that's how they were able to afford to live in that neighborhood. Yeah, you can look it up. I can send you the article, but it was hilarious watching the cops.
That's oh my god! I love that their first thought was meth.
Well, it was Florida.
I mean, yeah, but I don't know. When I think someone who deals or does meth, I don't think like nice house. I think strange shack with a lot of abandoned cars. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it was wild. Like, I remember reading that article going, oh my god, I've driven by this house a million times. But I didn't know what Twitch was at the time, but that was the first time I had ever heard of it. I was like, oh, okay. So these guys are playing video games for a living. That's cool. That's cool.
Well, you're into sports, you know, the NFL and the NBA and stuff are trying to kind of branch into Twitch.
Yeah.
Because the idea of live sports that are interactive in that way is very appealing to them. That's actually something that they are working on.
No, and I think that there's a huge market for it, because I remember watching Facebook, because they would do the Facebook Live games. Which was weird because there were no commercials, right? And that's kind of jarring for a baseball game. But fans could like live comment and like things and like have live conversations with the commentators as the game was going on. And that was a pretty cool element. So I do see it growing in that scenario.
It's an added element of suspense for a game that you're really invested in, having that extra connection, right? Because that interaction is so important. So, Do you talk about your experience with Twitch at all, or?
So, okay, I guess we can talk about this now. You know,
can we go there? I'm gonna push you there. I'm like, 100%. Let's go, man. I'm pushing you off this ledge.
It's okay. It was gonna come out eventually. So here first, exclusive. We're gonna announce it right here on the podcast. I'm working on launching my own Twitch channel, my own Twitch stream.
And it's going to be dope. It's going to be dope as heck, dude.
Yeah. So let's jump into this, because I feel like the revisioners are like, what is going on? He never goes this long without getting into the story. So, Dogo, the stage is yours. Go ahead and tell us your story.
Okay. Well, I'm a streamer, UnderDogNobody. And I have a plethora of stories, and it was very hard to choose. So I actually streamed the other night, and I went, guys, what is a story that I've told you that like really stuck with you? And they were like, I don't know about a story, but what about the time that you knocked yourself unconscious live on stream? And everything that happened afterwards. And I was like, oh my gosh, I blacked that out because, oh my gosh. So this is the story of me knocking myself unconscious live on stream, and all of the butterfly effect that follows is not. You're not gonna. You won't guess. You won't guess.
Okay.
That's all.
Let's do this.
I was playing Pokemon Ruby. I was streaming it in a new apartment that I had just moved into with one of my exes. She wanted an apartment that had 2 bedrooms because she wanted a separate room for all of her stuff. And this was a girl that I was head over heels with, that we were getting an apartment together. We'd been together a long time. So I searched high and low, finally found a place. But the only place I could find had like very vaulted ceilings. And they can't see it, but you can see the vaulted ceilings here. I'd never lived somewhere with vaulted ceilings.
Okay.
So I was streaming, and my alarm to take some medication, so I was on antibiotics or something at the time, went off, and I was like, okay, guys, I'll be right back. I stood up to go take my meds, and I hit the ceiling, like hard. I hit it hard. Yeah, and I passed out like cold.
Live.
Yes, live, and everyone watched it happen. I would not have known how long I was out if I couldn't have gone back and watched the live footage to see how long I was out.
How long were you out?
It was only like 5 or 6 minutes, but that's still a decent amount of time. So I'm like completely out of it, and like the chat's like, go to the hospital, like that's not okay. Like all this stuff. You know, my girlfriend at the time is in the chat and she's like, we need to take you to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I go to the hospital, and they're like, you have a concussion, you know, no bright lights, you know, they give you the whole normal spiel they do for concussion. So you're like, okay, so where does the story go from here, right? That's exactly it. I started kind of getting a pain in my jaw.
Okay.
That got worse and worse. And you're into sports, so I'm sure you're familiar with people normally wearing mouth guards.
Yes.
So, because if they hit their heads,
you clamp
things
down.
can happen in the mouth area. I am not. I go to the gym, but I'm not a very athletic or coordinated person.
Sure.
If this story was any indication. So it didn't occur to me that hitting my head really hard and biting down with my already kind of messed up jaw would launch my back molar up into my sinus cavity.
Oh, wow.
It was some of the most excruciating pain I'd ever felt. I did not have health insurance that covered dental. I had to go to an emergency dentist. He was like this very shady dentist because it was like the cheapest one I could find. And first he gave me a root canal instead of finding the tooth that was in my sinus cavity, and I couldn't afford to have it numbed. So I had a root canal with like nothing to help for the pain.
Sure.
On the wrong tooth.
Okay.
Pain didn't go away. I go back and then he like does an x-ray and he's like, oh, you like launched your tooth. It's like halfway launched and it's like crooked. I have a photo of the tooth somewhere I can show you. My teeth were also curved in the back. The molars were curved. So when it launched, it kind of curled into like up towards my nose area.
Okay.
He had to, I paid for the numbing that time. I got like, you know, care credit or whatever where you like make payments. And had that removed and the pain was finally gone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So they put me on like antibiotics. They put me on antibiotics. They put me on painkillers, all kinds of different things because obviously this was an ordeal. And I am also on at the time an SNRI, which is, you know, medication that people take for depression, OCD, all those kinds of things. It's a very common medication, but they always advertise, or I say advertise because I feel like a lot of doctors just kind of decide if they aren't sure what to do with a certain situation that you should just be on an antidepressant.
Right. So
many people are on them. They say that you can't get something called serotonin syndrome. They're like, it's impossible, to be very hard. So an SSRI is it deals with the serotonin in your brain. Mm-hmm. And serotonin syndrome is like an overdose of that, where like you're getting too much serotonin and it can actually poison you, make you sick, kill you.
Okay.
Combinations of certain herbs and medications that in conjunction with that SSRI can give you this serotonin syndrome. My pharmacist, doctors, whoever, I was out of it, right? I just had this ordeal. I was in a lot of pain. Then I'm on painkillers. I don't know what's going on. I'm just taking what they told me to take. And it turns out that multiple of those things that they prescribed me caused serotonin syndrome.
Wow.
Right.
You guys can't see it, but my eyebrows went up in shock.
So I am suddenly shaking, very, very sick, like vomiting. I can't walk. My girlfriend at the time, I'm on the phone with her and I'm like, I think I'm going to die. Like, I didn't know at the time that that's what I was going through, that's what was happening to me.
Right.
I was like passing out. I was in and out of consciousness. So she called 911. And
at this point, hold on. Just for clarification, at this point, how much time has passed since you initially hit your head?
Probably close to a week.
Okay. So this is a week later. Got it.
Right. Is this story going where you thought it would?
No.
Hitting my head? Okay.
No.
So, gosh, where was I? Oh, right. I'm dying.
Right. Casually.
Right. I'm dying. So I'm like passing out, throwing up, etc. I am so dizzy. I can't get up to like let them in. So the fire department has to climb up the side of the house and open a window and get in to let the paramedics into the front door. Mm-hmm. And they get in, they take me out. They asked me a bunch of questions. The ambulance ride was terrible. They didn't have anything for me to lay on. They had me just sit down like next to them, which was like the weirdest. Like, I'm like violently ill. I don't want to be sitting down. I was laying on my bathroom floor and they're like here. And I'm like, I'm going to throw up. Can I have something to throw up in? Like, you picked me up while I was throwing up, please. Like, you know, so they like throw a bucket at me and I'm just like sitting there on the side. I get to the hospital and there's a medication called Zofran that you're familiar with it. It's anti-nausea, and they go to give me that, and I let them know that I have very adverse reactions to that. It makes me sick.
Okay.
So I can't take it. So they're like, okay, we have an alternative that's called Reglan. So they put that in the bag. They start giving that to me. There's like this student nurse that's there, and she's asking me if I know my birthday and all this stuff. And I'm like, can you ask me when I'm not throwing up? And she's like, no, I need to know right now. And I'm like, no, I'm having a moment and you're not part of the moment right now. And you need to step back for like a second here, woman.
You're just having a bad time at this point.
I'm having a bad day and I will tell you my birthday when I am ready. Okay. I don't care what break that you are waiting to go on. You will wait.
Yeah.
So I throw up copious amounts of Reese's Cups because, as my viewers will remember, at the time I, for some reason, strictly ate Reese's Cups. I just like went through this Reese's binge. I even had viewers sending me the 4-pound Reese's Cups, like the Reese's Cups that weigh 4 pounds.
How do you manage to stay in shape and eat Reese's Cups? I'm trying to figure this out.
I work out. You have to work out when you sit a lot. You have to.
That's true. That's a fair point.
You just feel caca. You feel, I start to get depressed if I'm like sitting too much, right? Mm-hmm. Like even a normal office job, I feel like you walk a little more than you do as a streamer or when you work from home, right?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true.
And with COVID, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, unfortunately. Yeah. So threw up a bunch of Reese's Cups. They gave me the Reglan, and the Reglan gives me something similar to seizures.
Oh my god.
I forget what they called it. It was muscle something. It was like so seizures can only last a certain period of time.
Sure.
And this muscle thing could last up to 9 hours. And I think for me it lasted 6. Where I had no control of my body and I just had muscle convulsions. It was very, very painful. And I'm like asking the doctor, like, I can barely control my mouth. And I'm like, what is happening? They're like, okay, you had serotonin syndrome. And then the Reglan, it turns out like you have this really, really rare side effect to it, which is that. I'm like, oh, fantastic. So through.
Is your body Australia? Because it sounds like everything's trying to kill you. I'm just trying to figure this out.
Dude, I mean, when I asked my viewers what story to tell you, they were like, either tell the story where you hit your head or the eyeball story.
Okay.
Where I almost go blind from an eyeball hair getting wrapped around my eye. Or no, a hair from my bangs. It stuck in my eye and wraps itself around it. And when I pulled on it, it would tighten. And I almost lost my eye. That's a whole story. Yeah. I just have bad luck. It just have bad luck, okay?
Remind me to keep our relationship virtual.
It doesn't happen to anyone else.
I know. I don't know. It sounds like a matter of time, right?
I mean, unless you're worried your hair's gonna fall in my eye, like otherwise it's totally safe.
Have you seen how long my hair is?
Stuff happens. What?
Look how long my hair is. It's possible.
It will take my eye out. Your hair, or I'll like inhale it and suffocate and die. But anyway.
Right.
So I'm having the tremors and all that
right.
stupid, horrible stuff that I hate. I guess everyone would hate. I go home. And all my ex's stuff is missing from the apartment that I just moved into with the vaulted ceilings, with the extra room she wanted.
Right.
And her keys are on the table. And I have a text that she is breaking up with me because she can't handle all the drama from me hitting my head in the apartment that she wanted with the vaulted ceilings.
Okay.
She said she was breaking up with me all over text. I'm still shaking from muscle convulsions at this point. Just got home.
Right.
She's breaking up with me. She's dropping out of school. She was 1 month from graduation, and that she is going to become a stripper.
What? Okay, how did we get there?
Also, here's the kicker. And also that she kept my tooth.
As a necklace?
My tooth that was pulled out of my sinus cavity, she stole it and kept it.
Why?
I would not find out until later. This is part of the story.
Okay.
You said a little before you were like, I can normally kind of tell, like, you can tell arcs, and I'm like, I dare you. I dare you.
What I said was, I can kind of listen to a story and tell when we're coming to like an end, like that, those kinds of arcs. Where are we going? Keep going.
Okay. Okay. So she breaks up with me, and now I'm alone in this giant ass house, apartment, and don't really know what to do with myself. Wondering, I mean, there's a lot of questions. There's like, why'd she break up with me over text? Why'd she drop out of school? Why a stripper? She never hinted at it. Like we never like were hanging out, and she was like, man, those exotic dancers make me want to be an exotic dancer. There was never, she wasn't hanging out with anyone who was like, there was no, it was so left field.
Right.
And I was so sick. I just did not know. I just remember sitting down like in shock and like slowly eating a plain bagel. Like I was so out of it, I didn't even realize that there was nothing on that bagel. Like it was just like my natural, there was no fight or flight. It was just bagel. That was my body's reaction to everything, was just bagel. So I start to heal up and get a little better. I apologize to my Twitch stream, tell them the whole story, the whole ordeal. And I noticed that my ex is posting these kind of weird things on Instagram.
Okay.
Where she's dressed as a witch.
Okay. I
don't know why. And she's like burning things and like burying them in jars. And someone was like, oh, that's like how you put curses on things. Like it's like a Wiccan witch way to put curses on things. And then I noticed that she has a post where she's doing one of these rituals with my tooth.
Oh, so it was a weird voodoo thing. I thought that's what this was going to go.
Did you think it was weird voodoo?
I did think, I was like, this is a weird voodoo thing. I think this is where this is going to go.
When I met her, there was no weird voodoo. Okay, that she was a nurse and a painter, and she already had several degrees. Like she was like typical, like not typical, but like blonde bombshell. If you want to visualize what this is gonna look like, she was like jaw-droppingly gorgeous, and smart and cool. And then like I don't know if my issues gave her a nervous breakdown, but something definitely happened where she decided to wear a cape and put curses on my molar.
So, I just want to take a side note here. For those of you guys who are listening, I want to clarify that I do understand that being a Wiccan and doing voodoo are two separate religions, and I do understand the differences. Just bear with me, guys. I just need y'all to give me the benefit of the doubt there.
We don't want more curse. I already have a curse.
Sure.
A tooth curse. I don't want more tooth curses because we made a joke. We don't want tooth curses.
Right.
We understand and respect your religion.
Yes.
But I also need you to understand that she was wearing a plastic cape from like Halloween USA and that her representation of the religion should infuriate you more than any mistakes we make on the podcast, really.
100%. That is what we're trying to clarify.
That's the clarification we're making here.
So she puts a curse on you. Then what happened?
So then I desperately try to get the tooth back.
Uh-huh.
And at the time, I was really good friends with this artist named Gina Harrison.
Mm-hmm.
And you can look her up. I love her artwork. Very, very cool person. She worked with Kat Von D on some campaigns, and she worked with, most recently, Bring Me the Horizon. Her self-portrait series is really, really, really wonderful. She does a bunch of really beautiful self-portraits. And I conspired with her to help me get the tooth back.
Mm-hmm.
Because my ex with the cape was weirdly starstruck by her. So I lied before even telling Gina and said to my ex that Gina wanted to do a photo shoot with my tooth.
Okay.
And Gina's like, what the F am I going to do with a tooth? I don't know what the F I'm going to do with the tooth. You've made me, an accomplice in this thing that I wanted no part of. But I was desperate because I want my tooth back and I don't want tooth curses.
Why did you want the tooth back so weird? Was it just the not wanting the curse, or was there something else?
It just like weirded me out. Like it was like a gross gut feeling that this now completely unstable woman had a part of my body. And I just like I was like, that's the closure I need for this relationship is my tooth back.
You hear it, right?
My molar is the closure I needed.
Okay.
So, right, you totally relate. Like, whatever your last relationship was, if you were missing a body part that they put a curse on. Right? Yeah.
No, I get it. I get it. It's just weird.
I did not choose in any way, shape, or form for this situation to happen.
To be fair, I will say this: if the price I had to pay to never have to see my ex again was that she kept a part of my body and put a curse on it, I think that's a fair trade. Go ahead.
I don't know. You say that, but you don't know what a tooth curse is like, man.
You know what? You're absolutely right, but I do know what it was like to date my ex, so here we are. I take my chances. Go on.
Casual curses. So I say that she wants to do a photo shoot with the tooth, and my ex agrees that she's going to mail it.
Right.
And so I keep asking, I'm like, did she mail it? Did she mail it? No. She never mailed it. Instead, she messages Gina and says that it's gone now. And she's like, what do you mean? What do you mean it's gone now? She's like, it's gone. It's in the earth and it's growing. Was her response. I'm like, what does that mean? Give me my tooth back. What does that mean?
You know what I'm imagining right
growing.
Now? First off, I'm imagining like a beanstalk, kind of like, when you play the Super Mario games, and that beanstalk comes up, and then you get to the top, and I don't know if they were clouds. It's meant to be clouds, but they always look like little teeth.
Is there closure at the top? Because I just...
No, there's no closure. There's no closure. But when you get up there used to be these like little boxes. I always thought they were like clouds, but they look like little teeth on me, and Mario used to jump down on them. You know what I'm talking? That is what I'm imagining. That is the picture in my head.
They did look like teeth. Oh! Well, so Gina messages me, and she goes, you're not getting your tooth back because apparently it's growing into a tooth tree. And I was like, I don't know what that means. I was like, did she say that? And she's like, not exactly. She said it's in the ground, and it's gone now, and it's growing.
Okay.
Great. Fantastic. Love that for me. Then she says that she's going to give it back, but she has to dig several feet deep into somebody else's yard to get it.
What?
I don't know.
The more concerning part is that she put the effort in to dig several feet to put it in there.
What about what happened to me? Like, really affected her. Like,
sorry, I forget. The world revolves around you. Sorry. Go on.
Right? I'm like, it was just, it's so left. I don't know. I feel bad on some level because I'm like, something was going on.
Sure.
With her that I clearly was not privy to. Mm-hmm. That must have been really hard on her to drive her to the plastic cape point. Like, right. That's a low point. We don't all hit the plastic cape point of our lives, and we all hope not to. You know? Mm-hmm. Like, I know if I ever saw you in the backyard with a plastic cape, I would know, oh no. Like, we need, I don't know, healers, Reiki, therapy, good food. I don't know, but that's a low point.
I don't know. I might have also become brave enough to finally cosplay Harry Potter like I've always wanted to do, but that's neither here nor there.
No. We would hope for you that your school robes would not be plastic.
I mean, grew up on a budget. You know what?
You're gonna dress up in Harry Potter, but it's just like a hole that you poked in a garbage bag.
Don't poor shame me. Anyway.
Well, wait. So that you can't keep saying this and not say what your Pottermore house was.
Oh, I'm a Hufflepuff. Hands down.
Okay, you have to guess mine.
You're a Slytherin.
What's wrong with you? Why would I be a Slytherin? A Slytherin there and slap you upside the face? No, man, I'm a Ravenclaw.
I knew you were a Ravenclaw. I just wanted to mess with you. I 100% knew you were a Ravenclaw.
God.
Yeah. Let's get back to this. So now you can't get the tooth back. You can't get the tooth back. What happens next?
A few months pass. Mm-hmm. And then she hits me up wanting to get back together. Kind of, but I'm not interested really. And she's dating a 55-year-old man. Okay.
Was that consistent with who she was?
No.
Okay.
A lesbian.
Yeah. I was like, was it the age or the gender? I'm not sure here.
I mean, it's both, really. Because at the time, I was like 26 or 27, and she was younger than me, I believe. So, just a lot of yikes, huh?
Right. Okay.
She was about to give me my tooth back. Told me she had dug it up and was like holding it when her 50-year-old boyfriend told her she couldn't give it back or talk to me ever again.
Okay.
So I never got my tooth back.
Wow.
But I think I'm still cursed.
Okay, so a lot of the story was completely unexpected. Did not see most of it coming. Mm-hmm. Also, side note, my brother has kept my tooth from when I got it removed from what do you call this? My wisdom teeth.
Oh, okay. They didn't let me keep my wisdom teeth.
Yeah, I had it in a little thing, and he kept it. So I don't know if he put a curse on me.
Oh my gosh, are we like sisters in tooth curse?
You know. I'd like to think that that my brother has better intentions than that for me.
More noble intentions with your body part. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the story that I'm gonna tell myself. Although, it would explain maybe that was the sacrifice he made to get into Cornell. Maybe that's how that happened.
That's what it is. Yeah, it is.
He cursed me in exchange, gave me up. I don't know. He listens to this sometimes, so I can't wait for the phone call when he hears this part of it.
I want to know all about the tooth curse phone call, please. Thank you.
Oh, 100. Matter of fact, I'll just 3-way you in. All right, how's that?
Please. I feel like I'm an expert at this point.
Right. So. Now, you've gone through all these experiences, right? Mm-hmm. Let's go through this, and if you could retell the story, what exactly would you change and do differently?
Right. I guess wear a helmet. Because I thought about this for a long time, and I just feel like there are a lot of dates I've been on, ceremonies I've attended, mall trips I've gone to. There's a lot of things in my life would have been rectified if I just have worn a helmet.
What kind of dates are you going on that you need a helmet? Are you like playing like tackle football on your dates?
Or like safety glasses. Maybe like both. I have been almost blinded on a date before.
What are you doing on dates?
Well, that date I was pooping.
Come again?
I was pooping on that date.
So that was your date? Like a communal experience?
It wasn't a poop date. It was.
Oh, okay.
No. The date was late. And I was anxious and at the bar and was like, oh no, like, what am I going to do to settle my nerves?
Got it.
Like, oh, order a chili dog.
Okay.
Like, settle my nerves.
Okay. Wow. So moral of the story is, what you're saying is that you would wear a helmet and this would prevent you getting a tooth curse, right? That is...
Yeah, I think that if I wore a helmet... There's just, like I said, there's probably a lot of just situations that really could have been rectified if I wore a helmet.
Our time here is running a little short, so we're gonna jump to the next step. We have two traditions on this podcast, right? Before we let our guests go, we like to ask our guests. We like to highlight a charity or an organization. We like to ask our guests to share one if they have one that they're passionate about. Do you have one for us?
I do. It's the Endometriosis Foundation of America, and their mission is to increase endometriosis awareness, fund landmark research, provide advocacy and support for patients, educate the public and the medical community, because it is something that is not diagnosed quick enough or currently has any sort of actual cure. I have endometriosis. I have stage 4 perirectal endometriosis. And for people who don't know what that is, it is when this is kind of caca, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Period.
Just go for it.
Be caca.
Just go for it.
When a woman, okay, if you don't know what a period is, let me tell you. I'm going to tell you what a period is.
Okay.
It is when the lining of your uterus sheds once a month if you have a vagina. I was like, I'm trying to do this politically correct way. It sheds and, it bleeds and that's your period, and it comes out and has somewhere to go. Endometriosis is when that grows on the outside of your uterus, the outside of your ovaries, or outside of your other organs. So when it sheds, it has nowhere to go. And you're also bleeding internally every month. So it's very painful.
Yeah, wow, that does sound very painful. Thank you for making me appreciate being a man once more.
Yeah, I am very, very jealous that you don't have to bleed internally in any way.
People go, oh yeah, male privilege. I don't have male privilege. I was like, yes, no, I do. And I will own that one. Thank you very much.
That alone.
Yeah, it's a huge bonus. But thank you for opening up about that and, being willing to share that. And, I do encourage the revisionaries to go support the cause. The next question, the next tradition that we have on this podcast is we like to end every episode by asking our guests to share a quick childhood story that puts a smile on their face or just generally makes them feel warm inside whenever they think of it.
Oh my, a childhood story that makes me
smile.
First
thing that comes to mind. How'd you get into Pokemon? Who introduced you to Pokemon? Did you wake up every Saturday morning looking forward to watch Pokemon? Like, come on, you got something.
Okay. How about I remember my dad had a locked drawer in his desk.
Sure.
And it was for stuff that he was going to give us when we were older. And it contained the original Game Boy, like the brick, right? And like a stack of comic books that he had from when he was a kid. And I hated secrets. So like every night after everyone went to bed, I would walk down there and jiggle it to see if he'd left it open. In addition to like eating entire tubs of like icing. That's something I would do nightly as a child, like in secret.
Mm-hmm.
So one night it was finally open, and I played the Game Boy. It had an old Looney Tunes game with the giant. Do you remember? I don't know its name. The giant like red monster with the sneakers. And Looney Tunes. It had
Not
a hair monster.
Devil?
It had red hair.
Oh, I know what you're talking
It
about.
would run through walls.
Gosh, I do know what you're talking about, but I
don't know if it has a name. I don't even know. But like the video game was that with Bugs Bunny, and you would like go up these like levels and avoid this thing. And so I played that, and then I went and like looked through the comics, and the comics were old DC comics. They were old Batman comics. I was probably like 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I got really into Batman. I've been reading DC comics religiously since I broke into that drawer.
See, that was a great story.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. I was like, I went to Catholic school and I was a lesbian. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you.
No, but that was the perfect story because that's super, like, it's super innocent. It puts you in your mindset as a child, and it's cute, and it has had a long standing impact on your life. So that's pretty cool.
It actually did because Harley and Ivy are actually a couple in the comic books. Harley Quinn and Ivy. Yeah. She leaves the Joker for Ivy, and the movies don't show that. They actually.
What are you implying here?
What?
What are you implying here? That you felt supported?
Yeah. I finally got to like. It led me to being exposed to a story as a child that actually like reflected what I liked, and like, because growing up it was all Disney movies and princess and princes. I didn't have anything to relate to, so having. There were a lot of queer DC characters really early on that I was able to relate to growing up because I broke into that drawer like a little miscreant.
There we go. Bravo. That's perfect. Thank you so much for coming on the Revisionary podcast. Before I let you go, do you have any last words for our Revisionaries?
I guess don't hit your head. Don't hit your head, and always ask your significant other if they have any secret dreams of exotic dancing. If you want to follow me, I'm on twitch.tv/UnderDogNobody. And thank you so much for having me on.
Honestly, it has been a tremendous pleasure. This conversation has been so much fun. I have a feeling this is not going to be the last time we chat.
I hope not, because I had a blast and I really love talking to you. So
Good. I feel exactly the same way. On that note, then say goodbye. Bye.
The Revisionary Podcast.
Okay. I know I say that we have a lot of weird stories, but that one was weird. That one freaked me out a little bit. Like, keeping someone's molar just seems next level creepy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, wow. Okay. Wow. Yeah. So I know she mentioned that I might be launching a Twitch channel. She's right. You know what? I will launch it eventually. I'm not sure that I'm quite ready to launch it. It should be a good time. I'm really excited to, go down this path and just like continue to grow my brand. And honestly, it's just fun. I enjoy playing video games. If I'm going to do it anyway, I might as well do it with other people watching and, and make sure that it's a social activity. So I want to say thank you to all of you for listening. You guys are wonderful. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you learned about Twitch and the streaming community. And don't give ex-girlfriends access to your teeth. This is Juan Carlos, and thank you for listening.
This is the Revision.